Okay, let's go back to the dashboard. So if you're on your live site, go up to the top left and drop back down to the dashboard. We've looked at pages. Let's look at media next. Let's click on the media button and we have library and add new, and right now there's nothing in our library. So you can upload all the things that you're going to want access to at any time, or you can insert them page by page as you hit them. It doesn't matter. They're going to end up in the media library. So let's click on add new, and hopefully somewhere on your desktop you have a couple of pictures that we can use. If not, I'll have you go up to Google, just grab a couple of images that we can use. I don't know if you have any, I don't know.
Copyright be an issue?
This today, no, because we're going to put on our, actually that's what we're going to do. We're going to change our tagline in a minute to say this is a class project only. And we're going to do that a lot in here because you're going to be building sites that aren't real, and real sites don't need to accidentally find you and get mad. So if you have a few pictures that you can upload.
It doesn't matter what we title this.
What do you mean?
It has like a little area for the post. I can just title it. Doesn't matter what I
We're not
title
doing a post.
Oh, we're not doing a
Nope,
post.
we're in media.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep, we're just adding media. So grab a few random pictures. If I'm back in my media library and I want to add that, I can do a select file, and it went into my downloads. And which one is it? Oh dear Lord, I hate it when they show up all in a mess like this. So it shows up as the name of the photographer, Unsplash JPEG. And if I say open, it's going to load over here. If I click on this individual image, or if you click on this individual image, this is where you're going to get the attachment details. So alt text. We've described, you know this, right, from HTML class, why it's important. Screen readers, accessibility, if the photo doesn't load. So the alt text here could be face of a dog, whatever. The title is how it is, and then in the caption or description, I would consider pasting in that person's information to give them credit. And that's that one. You can then arrow to the right and look at your next picture. So what is the alt tag for this one? So go through, click on one to pull up this screen, and then arrow to the right and the left and give all of your images that you uploaded alt text at a bare minimum. Do that for sure. Notice it's also showing up in text above this area, the name of the file, when it was uploaded, and how big it is. So this snowman image that I uploaded is 318 by 450 pixels. That's the biggest I can ever make it without it getting crappy. So WordPress, if I ever try to use it in a bigger format, is not going to let me. I forgot to hit save every time or enter every time I was doing this, so my first ones didn't take. If you hit enter after you type in the alt text, you see a little spinning thing go by saying that it's saving it. Tiger Lake, Michigan, face of a dog. Okay, good. And then you can close out that attachment details. These are now images that we have in our media library for us to use. If you only have 20 images, it's not a big deal. But if you have a big website and you have 500 images, searching just images or just videos or just audio clips can be a helpful way of sorting this right here. Searching by date uploaded can be helpful, and possibly a different view. This one might be more helpful to you. So within the media library, there's different views and different ways to sort through. Did everyone have success with getting a couple pictures up? Okay. Let's go to the post page. Now, posts are things like news and specials and things like that. Before we even make one, I want to do that category tip that they gave. Go down to the categories. And right now, the only thing that we have is uncategorized. That's the only one we have over here. So what's a new category that we might want? News? That might be something on our site, like what's new? The slug is the URL-friendly version of the name. It's usually all lowercase and contains only letters, numbers, and hyphens. So this one is going to be NEWS, lowercase. Does this have a parent? No, it doesn't. And if we wanted to write a description, some themes show that and talk about that, others don't. So I'm just going to leave it and say add new category. I'm going to make another one that says specials. Maybe it's a store that has specials. And lowercase specials and add new. So now when I make a post, it has to fit into one of these two categories, or I have to come up with something else. All right, those are my two options right now. Now that we did that, we should go back to our overall settings and make the default be one of those rather than uncategorized. So go back down to settings, and we're going to choose, is it writing? Yeah, the writing setting. The default post category, 9 times out of 10, is going to be news. I would much rather it be news than uncategorized. And then save changes. Does that make sense why we did that? All good? All right. Did you save it in that previous window? Is it, I mean, does it show up in the drop downs? Okay. Also, while we're in the settings, I want us all to go to General, and we have our name, class test site. In the tagline, I want everybody to put, this is for educational purposes only. And then scroll to the bottom and save those changes as well. That'll kind of double protect us with what we're using. All good? Okay, let's go back to posts. And the hello world is the one that WordPress does always. It shows up. We can trash that. We don't need it to say hello world. So hit the trash button. Now we need to add a new post. So posts are things that are time sensitive, that might be shared on social media, that don't need to be part of this website forever and ever. They're just what's going on now. So let's make a post called First Day. And then let's go down and let's give it, let's type, this is our first day. Go back and click on it so that you get the block around it with your different formatting options, and you can see by default that it's a paragraph. But if we click on that double arrow, we get to the change block type or style. Maybe we want this to be a heading or a list or a quote. These are some often used. Let's turn it to heading, and by default it gave us heading 2. Why do you think that is? Why was heading 1 not an option?
First day is heading 1?
Yeah, the name of the page is higher in priority. So we could override that, but that seems logical, right? Then let's just go down here, start another. You might need to hit on that plus sign. And when you do hit on the plus sign, first of all, let me say this. When you hover over the plus sign, to the far right are things that are kind of quick use. So text, a paragraph or a heading, add a photo, add an image, or add an image gallery. Those are things that might happen quite often. Let's click on the add an image button. And because we've already put some in our media library, we can go straight there, but we could upload or insert from a URL. So let's go to the media library. And you have two tabs here, Upload or Media Library. So make sure that you're on the tab that says Media Library and you can see your pictures. And let's pick one and say Select. And there it is. Underneath it is write a caption. You don't have to, but if you wanted to, we could say whatever caption you want for your picture. We can make it bold, italic, we could hyperlink it to something, or we could add, as you can see here, HTML code, an inline image, or a strike through. So I'm just going to leave that for now. Let's go below the picture and click on the add block, the plus sign. Now we have lots and lots of options. In the most used, we have a paragraph, image, heading, gallery, list, quote, yada yada. We can scroll down and see that there are common blocks. If you spin that open, here are some common blocks. A lot of those are in the most used as well. Also, there are formatting. Do you want to add code? Do you want to go back to the classic editor? Do you want to put in some custom HTML? Do you want to put in a table or a pull quote? Then there are layout essentials. Do you want to make a button? Do you want columns? Do you want media with text to the right? Widgets we'll learn about in a little bit, but here are the widgets, another day, not a little bit. And then embeds, you can actually embed things. So a YouTube video is a very common thing that gets embedded. You know, it runs right from your page. Let's go back up and just insert a paragraph and write some type or some gibberish, however you want to do. When you hit enter, that closes out that block and moves you down to another block. If we hover over this block or select it, we can change again if it's left, centered, or right aligned. If you click on the three dots, these are block settings. So do you want to duplicate this block and use it again? Maybe it's text that you're going to use over and over on the page. Do you want to insert something before or after? Or do you want to add this block to your list of reusable blocks? So maybe there's a blurb that's very common on your page under every photo. It's like a disclaimer or something. Once you type that once, you could save it as a reusable block and just pull it up and use it every time you need to, okay? Rather than retyping everything. Remove block is also located right there. While we have a block highlighted, remember that over on the right-hand side, it says block, and here are some things that you can change for that specific block. So we could, let's just do this to test it, add a drop cap, change the color settings of this particular block. The colors that populate are based on your active theme. They're meant to complement your theme. When you click a background color, it tends to pick the type color, text color, that allows for the best contrast for legibility. So if you were to pick something like this, I picked light green on green, it says this color combination may be hard for people to read. It warns you this is not a good choice. So go with something that works. And then in the advanced is where you can add advanced CSS. So the fact that you're taking this class while you're taking Sarah's class and learning advanced CSS and how to tweak things is going to work really hand in hand. Do you feel like you could run WordPress without knowing HTML? People do. Do you feel like knowing HTML makes you a lot better at it? And you understand what's going on and you can tweak things? You can customize the HTML and you can add CSS rules. After we get deeper into this, we're going to learn how to make child pages from a theme. So we like the theme, but there's things about it that we're not fond of and we don't want. So we're going to take that theme, make a child theme that's tweaked perfectly how we want it, and work off of that. But if that ever fails, it always can go back to the parent theme and still function. So after, that's more like a October, November gig when you guys know more with Sarah also, and we're deeper into it. All right, so that is the block itself. Let's click on the document tab. This is our whole page. Visibility and when it's going to publish. If you ever have a blog that you want to always be at the top of your page, that's where you would say stick this, like a sticky note. That might be the one that says, hey, here are the rules of our discussion board. You have to do this, have to do that, don't do this or you'll be kicked out. You always want that at the top. That button would do that. And if this needs to be reviewed, so if I only have rights to create these, but it needs to be reviewed by somebody higher up before it's live, we can click on the pending review. The permalink, why does it say post 27? We didn't name them that way. That's kind of weird. I'm gonna hope that's not true. Categories, here's where we have to give it a category. Let's call it a news category. Tags, is there anything about this that you would want to tag? And we talked about tags being things like in your closet, like cotton, red, dress, things that describe it, but that you would never sort by. You wouldn't put all of your cotton clothes on one end and all of your polyesters on the other, okay? So are there any tags? I'm just gonna call this first day because that's something that people might search for. Featured image, this depends on your theme. If your theme, I'll show you an example, actually. In this theme, if I did not set a featured image for this page, this area right here would be all gray. But because I set a featured image, that's what they put as the background in my banners. A lot of times when you work with themes, you don't know what it's going to do or where it's calling for unless you play around with it and it's trial and error. So I kept seeing this gray thing and then I realized, well, if I add a featured image for that one page, this is where it's going to show up. All right. So in case our theme has featured images, let's set a featured image for this page. And I'm going to pick a different image just so I know it's not that same one populating twice. I know it's an intentional featured image. And say select. So it shows up down here. All right, discussion. Do you want to allow comments on this page? If this is one that you do, you could check it. Here's where it's page by page. Pingbacks and trackbacks, that's where you have links to other sites, and if they're mentioned or they mention you, you get notified. That has a lot of spam implications, so leave that off. If this is a page that people can comment, let's pretend it is. Let's turn it on for this page. If you want to preview it or save it as a draft, you would choose these options, but we're going to go ahead and publish twice. Let's make one more post. So new post, and go ahead and give this a name. Insert some different kinds of blocks. Format a block a little bit uniquely, and then come back and make sure before you hit publish, make sure you categorize it. If you forget, it's going to be news because we set that up already. But go ahead and make another page here, another blog entry. One of the things that you might have seen in that quick ad, besides just adding a picture, is add a gallery. I clicked on that just to show you how it behaves. I can caption all of them or not. And then how the gallery appears is dependent on your theme. Okay. There are extra plugins that are called, things that we can add that make galleries work a certain way or that we can customize. But if you just do it the generic way and say, add a gallery, how it looks and how it behaves is completely dependent on your theme. If we were to change our themes and keep looking at this site, the gallery would look different each time. So remember, before you publish, go to the Document tab, make sure it has a category, give it a featured image for that page, just to make sure if our theme uses it, and publish. All right, another thing to remember is that your posts are stored chronologically, so the latest one that you make is always going to be on top of your list in your post index view. and it's always going to populate at the top of the page. So once you've done that, let's go back to your view your live site, our home page. This is what the theme looks like. We haven't changed that yet. I didn't edit the home page, so it's still this boring thing, but I can go to news and my 2 posts populate. In this case, the featured image simply shows at top. Okay, this is the featured image. It didn't show up in the background or anything else. So for this version, I don't really like having a featured image. I would probably go back and turn it off. On my page, if I didn't do a featured image, this would be all gray and it looked ugly, and I did not like that. See if I have it. I think I might have left one. Yeah, this is what it looks like when you don't set up a featured image. And when you do have a featured image, it populates back here on this particular theme. So now that I see what it looks like, I would remove my featured images. I don't particularly care for them. Notice when I hover over this featured image and click on it, it's obviously a hyperlink. And in this case, it pulls up the full-size version of that featured image. That too is theme dependent. So here's my posts. Pages are up here. All we've done is add 2 posts with some imagery. Let's go to the page that you guys did some hyperlinks on and see if those worked. So maybe it was your contact page, I'm thinking, or your About Us contact page. So this should link to the LTC website, and it does. And this should link to my enemy's website, which is 3 Sheeps. And it worked. All right, are you guys having success so far with this?
Are we ordering some?
Yes.
So much worse.
Yep. So that open in a new tab, is that what you're saying? That's usually what you want to do when it's an external site. You want it to open in a new tab so that people stay on your site as well. And there is a setting for that.
At least you can see the prices. I like that that's how
You can see what?
Oh, China Star updated.
This is my enemy's page.
That garbage Chinese restaurant.
Oh man, is that for Sarah?
No.
Mary.
Mary.
Well, in design fundamentals, way back, we were like supposed to look at bad.
Yeah.
So this is what we found.
That's bad. All right.
It wasn't even that.
I think despite all of our glitches, we have survived enough to make it through this learning plan. I'll put my lecture videos up here in just a minute. We are not doing this group activity today. We'll hit that next week. Here's your practice project. This is your homework. You need to install you need to make a whole other website. Okay? You know what that means? That means practicing all that stuff. It's going to be on the site you are, or on your domain, hosted domain. So what you're going to do is you're going to make a MySQL database. You're going to go to, let me get to mine. You're going to log into your account like this, and you're going to make a brand new database. Databases are specific to the website itself. So the one that we made already is only specific to our test site that we're making right now. The next one you make, this is the one that I'm really going to have you practice, like do stuff in class, or this one, it doesn't matter, but you have to build another one. So do it on something that interests you. Maybe do it on your dog or your motorcycle or whatever you want, okay? The second one, something that you have photos and stuff that you can practice with and upload to, use to make it a little bit more bearable. So the first step, and again, if you go to the PDF or the PowerPoint that I had all those screenshots, it wasn't the same cPanel, but all of the things are the same. So the first thing you're going to do is make a new SQL database. So you're going to go down to, did I pass it?
Yeah, it's up there.
It's the wizard, right?
It's that third one, that third section.
Yes, right here. Databases. You're going to go to the MySQL database wizard and you're going to set that all up and you're going to copy and paste that into a document because that's going to be those goofy letters and that super hard password again. You're going to set up the database, give WordPress all privileges like we did before, and then when you're done doing that, it says you're successful. You're going to come back to your cPanel. You're going to go into your file manager You're going to go into public, and you are going to make a whole new folder. This is your new website, and I'm going to call this, by the way, I highly recommend you use all lowercase letters and no space. Don't use spaces. That's not even a recommendation. Don't use spaces. All lowercase letters, and if you have to, use like a hyphen or an underscore, but I suggest run it all together. So the website that I'm going to make brand new is called Gracie, and I would say create new folder. I'd go get a fresh install of WordPress, put the zip in there, unzip it, move it out of that WordPress subfolder. Then I would type in my domain /Gracie/ and I'm going to get that WordPress install again. I'm going to say USA, and it's going to say you have to hook it to a database. And you're going to say, yes, I have one. And all the things that you typed in for that database, you're going to enter again. And when that works, it's going to say, congratulations, Sparky, let's install WordPress. You're going to hit that button, and then it's going to say, what is the name of your website? I'm going to say Gracie. It's going to say, what's your username? And I'm going to say Brenda B. What's your password? I'm going to use the password I know and remember. And you're going to do that whole thing again, because this is the only way you know how to set up and build websites, is to keep doing it. Okay?
Do we have to re-download WordPress and take all those files, or can we copy them all from the other folder?
Don't do that.
Okay.
That's dangerous. I would recommend you always go to wordpress.org and get the new files, because they might have been updated last night. Seriously. Always go get the fresh zip file. Okay? You're going to make a new site, and you, over the course of the next week, are going to practice. You're going to add a new post to this website. You're going to include a hyperlink. You're going to make a category and assign it that category. You're going to upload a featured image. You're going to allow discussions on the post and publish it. When you're done with that, you need to email me the URL of that new website. So your domain name / whatever new one you build by Tuesday at noon, so I can look at it and give you feedback before we meet on Wednesday. So the process of setting up a website is overwhelming until you do it 2 or 3 times, and then it's easy. I mean, we walked through it live in about 10 minutes tops when it all worked. It can work. And now that your domains are all hooked up for the most part, and hopefully we figure out, and Liz, yours too, hopefully we figure out what's going on, it's really not hard. It's a matter of making a database, getting WordPress, and making a new folder, a new website on your hosting, getting WordPress in there, and then activating it. Yes?
So we won't have that problem like with the domain parking and everything.
Nope, you're done with that.
Thank you.
Yes. But remember, when you make a database, to copy and paste all of that, because it's really weird letters and numbers and difficult, and if you're off, you can never use it again. If that happens, we can go into the cPanel and delete that database and make a new one, but it's a pain in the butt. Okay? So every new website needs its own database. Every new website needs its own folder to live in and its own WordPress install files. Okay? Any questions? Thank you for your patience with technology. Have a lovely week. See you all Friday.